Hello everyone and welcome back to Death Before Decaf. My name is Emily and I have a full-time job, 2 part-time jobs, and I'm doing my master's in history. And on this channel we like to talk about productivity and getting things done and managing multiple things at once. And it is the end of November. It is nearing towards the end of the semester, and I'm coming close to the end of my master's, and I wanted to share some lessons that I've learned as a grad student that might be helpful to you, and some failures I've experienced and what that taught me, and hopefully that is helpful to you, like I just said, and that it teaches you a lesson before you make the same mistake as I did. So let's get into it. So the very first thing that I learned, and I'm going to tell you a little backstory because it was a really rough lesson to learn. At my university, there are not a lot of Americanists, and I do American history. That's not the point. The point is that I wrote to a professor about potentially discussing PhD supervision, and I had asked that professor to be my MA supervisor, but I decided to opt for another supervisor. And we had, our paths had crossed once or twice, but we never had any substantial conversations after that. And I wrote her an email and I asked her if she would be open to having a talk with me and talking about my PhD project and seeing if it might be something she would be interested in supporting. And she responded to me that she did not want to work with me for my PhD because after telling her that I was not going to pick her as my supervisor, I never spoke to her again. Which, when I read that email, my heart kind of sunk because it really, I was really excited about possibly working with this professor, and I felt very goofy. I felt like the fact that I had been intimidated or scared to approach this professor and engage in conversation had led them to completely dismiss me as a potential PhD student. So the lesson that we gather from this is that being shy is valid and, a lot of people's situation. However, all it's doing is slowing you down, and all it's doing is potentially putting, breaks in the road for you. So network. Professors can open doors that you didn't even know existed. Even a short chat or an email can make a huge difference, and I really wish I had done that with this professor 2 years ago, because I would not have received that heart-sinking email that I did recently. So network with your professors, network with people whose work you're interested in, who you might see yourself working with eventually. Just do it. That's the first lesson I learned. The second lesson I learned is that you should apply to things. I had this, I thought to myself that I was nowhere near a scholar. I was nowhere near ready to do things like conference presentations and being published. And then I realized that it really literally costs nothing to apply and to submit an abstract or a project proposal. It's free. And if you do it, the worst thing that can happen is they say no. And then I realized that a lot of them actually were saying yes. And and I got 2 publications and 2 confirmed conference presentations for this year and the next. And so what I realized is that my imposter syndrome is a little silly, because apparently people do want to read my research and want to put it out there. And secondly, it turns out that that this is worth it. And I have a reverse issue now, which is that I applied to too many things and too many people are accepting me, and now I have schedule conflicts. Do you see how that happens? Do you see how that works? Girl boss too close to the sun. I was so convinced that I was an imposter and that I actually sucked and that my project sucked and that my proposal sucked that I did that. So don't be afraid of applying for things, applying for conferences, applying for, you know, call for papers, so on and so forth. But be prepared to possibly succeed. Now, my third point is that in the first year of my master's, I felt that grad school was profoundly isolating, and I felt very lonely. I had no friends, and I just felt like I was just like this little orphan walking through the university. But I had the absolute privilege of being a TA this semester, and I met some people who are now like, if I am going through a shitty situation with school, I can text them, we can have a laugh, we share memes, we relate to each other, and I never had that before this past fall. And I actually have regained a love for my topic, a love for the institution, a love for studying history, and it's brought me down to earth. It's made me stop comparing myself. It's made me realize that, you know, although we don't have all the same issues, we all have challenges, and I just feel so much more supported, and I really feel like I'm at the right place, and I feel like I'm doing good. And there's two people I have to really thank for this, and I am really grateful that you know, it was kind of scary sort of talking and being nice and scheduling that coffee date, that, you know, but I did, and I'm really grateful I did, because it has really, really drastically changed my experience, and I wish I had done it way before, so yay. The final thing that I have learned is that it's actually fine to take your time, and I've learned it recently because I've started my master's 3 semesters ago, so I'm currently finishing my 3rd semester, right, which is not a lot of months, like it's not very long, and in all technicality I could be submitting my MA thesis in the spring, and I could you know, right now be submitting PhD applications and grant applications and scholarships and fellowships and so on and so forth. But I realized that, especially because I don't just do grad school, I also have my full-time job, I also manage a small business, I also, well, working as a TA kind of works as part of that, but because I have all of these other commitments, my progress in my thesis is not as fast as I hoped it would be, and also I haven't really had the time to sit and consider what I actually want to do for my PhD, who I actually want to work with, where I want to go. I haven't had time to even fill in like the applications and the fellowship applications and the scholarship applications and the grant applications. I haven't had time to do any of that because my energy is stretched so like wide across so many projects. And so I realized there is actually nothing like inherently wrong with just taking an extra year to do my thesis and to finish writing it. And that will actually give me more time to, you know, research programs, research supervisors, you know, look at all of my different options to build actually quality proposals and applications for scholarships. You know, all of the things that I have not at all had the time to look into, that the deadline is like in 2 days. There was no need to rush now, and I'm going to be able to not crash and burn, and I just feel like I'm going to put together a much better MA thesis. I'm going to have a much more clear idea of what I want to do, and that will make me more successful in my applications to do that thing. And I can also like breathe for the next year and a half. And it was tough because I felt sort of embarrassed about taking more time to do it. But ultimately I realized that literally no one cares. And all it's doing is it's making me happier. Sometimes slower progress just means deeper understanding and less burnout. And ultimately that's what we want. So those are the 4 important lessons I have learned so far in my grad student journey. Thank you so much for watching. Please give it a like and a little subscribe, and go follow me on Instagram. And why don't you tell me in the comments anything you have learned in your academic journey so far, or in whatever journey you are going through, maybe a lesson that can be helpful to others. Drop it in the comments. Thank you for being here. I wish you success in the end of the semester and in whatever other endeavors you are currently going through, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.